It appears Officer Adams is still on the job driving a police car. And according to these crash reports, 2 of the wrecks happened on the same day, and another one happened after he admitted he fell asleep at the wheel.
You need his name? Officer Adams.
Tonight, Fox 10 News is investigating a pattern of questionable driving by a Mobile police officer.
Roy Adams.
Officer Roy Adams Jr. shown here after graduating from the Mobile Police Academy in July of 2021. Tonight, we've obtained 4 crash reports showing Officer Adams has been involved in 4 wrecks this year alone. One of them was fatal. The first crash happened on February 2nd. Just before 5 a.m., the crash report shows Officer Adams was driving north on Donald Street, heading towards the precinct for checkoff. It says Officer Adams advised he began to fall asleep while driving, causing him to swerve. Officer Adams then struck the perimeter fence of the Continuous Learning Center. The report says the crash caused severe damage to the fence and his patrol car. The next 2 crashes happened on the same day. One of them was deadly. According to the crash report, on July 9th, just after midnight, Officer Adams was driving south on I-65 Service Road North at Old Shell Road. The report says his police vehicle struck a raised traffic island, causing disabling damage to the undercarriage of his vehicle. This car was towed. Less than 24 hours later, tragedy struck.
Engine 8. Motor vehicle collision at Old Shell Road and Mobile Infirmary Boulevard.
That was the first of 2 radio calls going out just before 11 o'clock. According to this crash report, Officer Adams ran a red light and motorcyclist Sumner Howard hit his car. Howard died almost 2 weeks later. The report says Officer Adams was responding to a call and that his emergency blue lights were activated. The audible siren was not activated. We've asked MPD numerous times what emergency call Officer Adams was responding to. They've refused to release that information. This car was also towed away.
You need his name? Officer Adams.
We obtained the surveillance video of Officer Adams' latest crash. It appears to show him running a stop sign at the intersection of Wagner and Somerville Street and hitting another car. According to the crash report, Officer Adams slowed down but did not come to a complete stop at the stop sign and proceeded into the intersection. The other driver sending us these photos of his damaged Camaro. He also sent us this cell phone video he recorded after the crash. And according to Metro Jail records, Officer Adams is still on full patrol. His latest arrest was made just 4 days ago. Now, we're told the DA's office is investigating the deadly crash involving Officer Adams. Lanice?
Ariel, what else do we know about Officer Adams' driving record?
Well, Anise, we do know that he's had some traffic tickets in Mobile and another state, but we're still working to get all the details. And we'll certainly let everyone know what we find out. Now, MPD tells us they do background checks on all employees during the hiring process. Well, tonight, it's unclear if those violations were flagged before Officer Adams was hired. And it's also unclear when the department decided to put Adams in the passenger seat. Tonight, new details and a response from the Mobile Police Department after we raised questions about one of their officers and his questionable driving. Crash reports we obtained show Officer Roy Adams Jr. was involved in 4 wrecks this year. One of them was deadly. As of tonight, we're told Officer Adams is still on full patrol, but is now assigned to a 2-person unit, meaning he's no longer behind the wheel. We asked MPD when that change went into effect, but we didn't get a clear answer. The spokesperson for MPD says it happened, quote, following the July 9th incident. We obtained surveillance video that shows Officer Adams running a stop sign and hitting this white Camaro 5 days later on July 14th. And new court documents we uncovered also list Officer Adams as the arresting officer and transporting officer for an arrest this month. It's dated August 6th. We've also found out more about Adams' driving record. Court records show he's been cited for traffic violations not only in Alabama, but Florida as well. According to the documents, before Officer Adams joined the police department in 2021, he was charged with driving with a suspended license and following too closely in 2019 in Mobile. The records show both of those tickets were dismissed because the Alabama state trooper who pulled him over failed to appear in court. As for the tickets in Florida, documents show Adams received a ticket in 2006 for speeding, going 70 miles per hour in a 50 mile per hour zone. According to this ticket, Adams told the officer he didn't know the speed limit and had one drink in Daytona.
You need his name? Officer Adams.
This cell phone video shows the aftermath of Officer Adams' latest crash in Mobile on July 14th. The crash report says Officer Adams slowed down but did not come to a complete stop at the stop sign. Two of his other crashes happened on the same day on July 9th. One of them involved Officer Adams hitting a raised traffic island, causing disabling damage to the undercarriage of his patrol car. Less than 24 hours later, crash reports say Officer Adams had his blue lights on, but not his siren when he ran a red light in Midtown, causing motorcyclist Sumner Howard to hit him. Howard died. We're told Officer Adams was responding to an emergency call, and back in February, Officer Adams also admitted to falling asleep at the wheel, causing him to crash into a fence at the Continuous Learning Center. And Lenise, we also have some breaking details tonight about Officer Adams' driving history. Just a couple of hours ago, we found court documents that show Adams was cited for 6 traffic violations. That was in Lake County, Florida in 2011 and 2012, and 3 of those were speeding tickets.
Okay, but we still don't know anything about that emergency call the officer was said to be responding to when that deadly crash happened in Midtown.
Yeah, that's right, Lenise. Now, despite our repeated requests to MPD, they still won't tell us what the emergency call was. Now, we do know MPD has asked the DA's office to look into that crash, and we'll keep digging into this and let everyone know what we find out.
All right, thank you, Ariel.
We would like to know that there is accountability for the officer who was involved in this accident. We would like to know why he was still on patrol.
Well, for the first time tonight, we're hearing from a friend of Sumner Howard. He's the motorcyclist who was killed after colliding with a Mobile police car in Midtown Mobile last month. A Fox 10 News investigation found that the Mobile police officer who was driving the car has been involved in 4 wrecks this year alone. And we also have breaking details tonight about a notice of claim that has been filed by Howard's family attorney. It was given to the city of Mobile for the, quote, wrongful death of Howard. And just a couple of hours ago, I spoke with Dr. Tanya Butler, who says they are still in shock over Howard's death, who they call Kahuna. On July 9th, Howard ran into Officer Roy Adams Jr.'s patrol car. The crash report says Adams ran a red light responding to an emergency call. Howard died almost 2 weeks later. MPD officials refused to tell us what the emergency call was. Following our initial report last week, Mobile police told us Officer Adams is no longer driving, and he's been assigned to a 2-person unit. Dr. Butler says Kahuna was a big part of the biker community, an Air Force veteran and a member of the American Legion Riders.
It was devastating to our community. We still have a hard time knowing that he is not with us. And, you know, it is a huge loss. He was a friend to all of us. All you got to do is look at some of the pictures with Kahuna. His smile was contagious. His heart was huge. He was just one of the kindest people and funny. Oh my gosh, he was so funny, but willing to lend a hand to anyone who needed it.
Now, I talked to attorney Stephen Moore tonight. He's representing the Howard family. He tells me the notice of claim was filed at least 2 weeks ago. And I reached out to the city for a comment and got this statement from a spokesperson. It reads, quote, I can confirm that the notice of claim was received. We don't have a comment on it at this time. And we asked MPD to give us the calls for service around the time of the crash that killed Howard. But today we were told that information, quote, is not a public record. we continue to press for answers from Mobile Police about one of their officers with a questionable driving history. Now, Officer Roy Adams Jr. remains on patrol after 4 crashes this year, one of them deadly. Now, friends of the victim killed, Sumner Howard, are speaking out and also want answers. And for the first time tonight, we're seeing Officer Adams out on the streets days after we were told he was no longer driving a patrol car.
We would like to know that there is accountability for the officer who was involved in this accident.
Tonight, several questions remain unanswered from Mobile Police surrounding one of their officers. A Fox 10 News investigation uncovered Officer Roy Adams Jr. was involved in 4 crashes this year. While on duty, one of them killed Sumner Howard. One crash caught on surveillance camera showing Officer Adams running a stop sign. Another crash report showed he fell asleep at the wheel and hit a fence. Officer Adams was recently assigned to a 2-person unit, meaning he's no longer driving. Our camera was rolling this afternoon after we went to this car crash on Government Boulevard near MPD headquarters. One person was taken to the hospital. Officer Adams was there directing traffic, and he was seen getting into the passenger seat of a Mobile Police SUV. Howard's family attorney recently sending a notice of claim to the city of Mobile for a wrongful death in connection to the deadly accident in July. Howard was killed after colliding with Officer Adams' police car in Midtown Mobile. His close friends still in shock, saying last week was Kahuna's birthday.
It was his 68th birthday, and all you got to do is look at our Facebook post and you'll see the hundreds of people who are missing him. He left a hole, not only in our hearts, but left a hole in this community. He was taken from us too soon.
According to the crash report, Officer Adams was responding to an emergency call, although MPD has refused to tell us what that emergency call was. We've also asked for the calls for service around the time of the crash, but we're being told that information is not public record. Well, the DA's office is also investigating another deadly wreck involving a Mobile police officer and a motorcyclist. That crash report showed Officer Paul Caligari was speeding through a malfunctioning intersection when the wreck happened.